Okay, this was something that had come up actually possibly a couple weeks back. It was probably only a few days. That's so funny. I like this. Okay, there's a license plate that it's you could tell that it's the person's ham radio call signal. You see this a lot in Oregon, that you could see the guys who are ham radio guys, because they do that a lot. It's pretty cool. So Chunky Yogurt said something that definitely needs to be brought up because of how Chunky Yogurt is usually wrong. He's sort of one of the people, one of the political pundits who's kind of famous for how often he is hella wrong. Yet always claims that him and the Young Turks are right, but they never called anything correctly. They always have to stretch their calls as much as possible, to the point that you could even tell, like, when Cenk Uygur says, like, we're never wrong, we always get it right, blah, blah, blah. And you could even see how, like, Anna Kasparian obviously doesn't believe it. Like, the rest of the cast doesn't believe it. They're like, no, Cenk, you're notoriously incorrect all the time. And it's because Cenk Uygur's not really, from here. He doesn't understand Americans very well, but he kind of has to play like he does. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, and they're going. And so because Cenk Uygur refuses to really understand the country that he emigrated to, there's these calls he'll make that are based on, really, it's just kind of like, okay, oh, I get it. You just think you're right about that. One of the things Cenk brought up was he thinks that it's laughable that the CIA embraces the left. Now, of course, anybody who has ever known anything about the 60s and rock and roll, the mass movement of the Cultural Revolution, knows that's absolutely not true. Like, that the CIA was heavily involved in the counterculture, heavily involved in the introduction of psychedelic drugs. The CIA is why we have cocaine at the levels we do. Cocaine was this like curiosity of like sort of like rich Southerners, and rich Southerners particularly, like, not only were they kind of into it, but it was a drug that was given to poor Southerners. And so you could find songs about cocaine going back to the bluegrass era. It's just that they're is considered very risque, very ribald. You could also find this in old jump blues, references to cocaine use and jump blues. It's a Southern thing, is where it started, and then became cool, in the 20s through the 60s. Really, finally, kind of gaining some kind of niche fashion acceptance among the college-educated Yankee white liberals. So, one of the things that Cenk really doesn't get, like Pollock, and Jackson Pollock, if I remember correctly, is the artist. This is an artist that this person was not really some amazing talent. The CIA made Pollock a talent. People like Cenk Uygur don't know, because Cenk Uygur's not from the United States of America. So Cenk Uygur would have never had a way of knowing that what most museums and all that were, it was a scam. It was a tax scam by very, very wealthy people who owned art, that they could write off the cost of the art, or the value of the art, if they donated it to the local museum. This is why, like, you get in Sutro Tower, you get the Sutro Park in San Francisco. If you give your stuff away when you're wealthy, everyone pays you money for it. I mean, you're just pimping the hose. You're just pimping out the peasants. That's what the whole It's just a big, big, big scam, like a huge one. All the wealthy and politicians like know about this, but it's just we think, oh well, we get to see art. So, and so we even think of it that way. The peasants get to see art. The wealthy who bought the art write it off as a tax break. So, I mean, and then we thank them. Then we thank them. Thank you for letting us look at the stuff you owned that we have now paid for. Rockefeller, you paid for that painting, but now we paid you for that painting through a tax break, and we get to look at the stuff you owned. So that's what the world of art, and that's the CIA and the left. It's just about money. And the left wants to think of itself as guys who change tires when they're guys like Cenk Uygur. And so, and then that's the other thing is, of all the people to laugh at like being possibly a glowy is, Cenk Uygur. And then he's like, oh, the CIA and the left would never be in cahoots, blah, blah, blah. Yet, the Young Turks could not survive on memberships, could not survive on advertisements. The Young Turks could not survive if they had to do it like everybody else does. They're getting paid to be on YouTube. YouTube is paying the Young Turks. So Cenk Uygur is being paid by the CIA in a roundabout way, and he's just acting like he's not. And so I just think it's funny the way that he put that it's just like, Cenk, we all know your show can't make it without Alphabet handing you money. And Alphabet was a creation of the CIA. But yeah. Now, I've heard this. There was an older fellow that I liked quite a lot, that he couldn't believe there was a connection between the CIA and the left. And I was thinking, like, I don't think you get it. The CIA will exploit anyone. It's not that the CIA is this incredibly right-wing. They're like sitting there going, we can't wait to take away women's voting rights. That's not what they're an organization that seems to be dedicated to just enriching themselves. So it's and some people who seem to be possibly working for the United States government for the continuation of the constitutional republic. But what it really comes across as, really, is no, they'll exploit anybody. They'll exploit any situation. And so Cenk Uygur doesn't get that there is ample evidence of this. There's actually even somebody who's written about the CIA of the left. And one of the things is because Cenk Uygur, he hasn't been around that much. He hasn't met that many people, really. If you ever met old hippies, at some point you met one of those guys. He talks about how back in the day he did this, he did that, blah, blah, blah. And then at some point, what does he talk about? He talks about the company. That he's sure these guys were watching him, blah, 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 blah. He's sure they knew what he was up to. He's sure that they knew. And they did. They did know what he was doing. They did know what your old hippie friend, your dad's friend, your uncle, that guy who lives down the street that you smoke with, no, the CIA totally knew. They, in fact, probably, it was probably without even the person knowing, it was being run by somebody. There's this pretense that the CIA and intellectuals, like people who are in universities, like Cenk Uygur doesn't get, how is it that Barack Obama's mom and Barack Obama, how is it that there were these foreign intellectuals in Indonesia when there was a coup? And then they just kind of kept living normally. Oh, no. See, Barack Obama's mom was a right-wing professor. That's what it was. Yeah, how is it that they didn't just off the weathermen. How is it that all the weathermen got positions in some of the most important universities in the entire country, and were in universities, in a university system, the UC system, established by Ronald fucking Reagan? No. Sorry, Chunky. You don't know this country well enough, because it's not yours. It's not yours. You don't understand America well enough. You didn't listen to enough Bob Dylan, apparently. It's just that kind of thing where you really start to realize, and then it's also it's being from LA. There's really something about a lot of the liberals from LA who are in the media that it's just like, what's wrong with you? And they're from LA. I'm sorry. When you're from California and you meet, like, the San Diego people are one way, the Santa Barbara people are, but the LA people, you're like, what is wrong with you? Like, you aren't built right. Like, something's wrong with your fucking brain. And that was the thing, it's a lot of these people, it's just they're in their own pretend world of LA. A city that could not even exist if it weren't for, like, imperial levels of money printing and monetary output and stuff. Like, I mean, it just, yeah. It's not a city that probably can support itself anymore. God damn it! Oh, I fucking hate this place so much. Fuck, I hate this place. Alright. I just ran my foot into something. Because my room is still set up like shit. Alright. So. Alright. Well, that's how fun that is. Uh-huh. I swear, just thinking about Mickey Mouse, like, okay. Oh, you didn't like the movie, huh? Well, call him a cocksucker. Mr. Mouse, call him a cocksucker now. Type now, dummy. See, yes, cocksucker. See how that feels? Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't like my movies, huh? Arrogant bastards. Little peons. You'll learn. You think you could tell a better story than Mickey fucking Mouse? Ha! Gonna get that, Gina Carano? That's the one that I just keep thinking of just all the time. Mickey Mouse has, like, posters of Gina Carano. And that, like, and all he does is he calls Brie Larson, he just calls her feet. He just calls her, like, these fucked up names. All, what's going on with Dragon Claws? Like, pardon? Nothing. Brie, the Larson, yeah. What's going on? What's she doing now? She's gonna fuck this up? Sir. Goddamn feet. What? Nothing. What's up with bear paws? Who? Brie Larson. What's up with the crow? What? Who, sir? Brie Larson. The crow? Nothing. It's a great movie. I own it. He's just sitting there. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Just staring at Gina. Just staring at the poster. No, it's like he has like some, like, he's got, like, he just hits a button and it rotates around. It's another poster of Gina. How dare you? I'll get you back one of these days. You're gonna apologize to me. You'll come crawling back to me. One of these days, Gina. Okay. All right. Argent's on. Let's see what's going on. Later.